The long-standing covert conflict between Israel and Iran has violently broken into the open. As of June 2025, the two nations are engaged in direct military confrontation, marking a dangerous new chapter in Middle East tensions. This escalation began after years of proxy battles and targeted assassinations. Now, the fighting is direct and widespread. Israel has launched a severe week-long bombing campaign inside Iran. Its stated goal is to completely dismantle Iran's nuclear program and to push for a change in the country's leadership. This represents a significant shift from previous strategies, moving from clandestine operations to overt acts of war that have pushed the entire region toward a much larger, more unpredictable conflict. The Israeli military has conducted extensive airstrikes across a wide range of Iranian territories. These attacks have not been limited to military installations. Reports indicate that Israeli forces have targeted critical nuclear facilities, including the Arak heavy water reactor, and sites at Natanz and Isfahan. The strikes have also hit missile production plants and even the SPND Research Institute located in the capital, Tehran. The scope of these attacks is unprecedented, reaching deep into Iran and demonstrating a clear intent to cripple the nation's strategic capabilities. The Israeli government has made its intentions clear, with leaders publicly threatening Iran's supreme leader, framing this as a fight for their nation's very survival. In response to these aggressive Israeli actions, Iran has unleashed a massive wave of retaliation. Over the past week, it has launched hundreds of ballistic missiles and more than 1,000 drones toward targets inside Israel. While Israel's advanced air defense systems, supported by allies, have intercepted the majority of these projectiles, some have broken through. These successful strikes have hit sensitive locations, including military and security sites. A major oil refinery in Haifa was struck, causing significant damage. Residential areas have also been hit, bringing the reality of the war directly to Israeli civilians and demonstrating Iran's willingness and capacity to inflict pain in return for the attacks it has endured. The intensity of Iran's response has surprised many observers. According to intelligence reports, Iran has deployed new types of weaponry in this conflict. For the first time, it has reportedly used a missile equipped with a cluster munition warhead, which struck a town in central Israel. This shows that Iran is not only retaliating, but also testing and showcasing its evolving military technology on the battlefield. Despite Israeli claims of having destroyed a significant portion of Iran's missile launchers, it is believed that Iran still possesses a substantial arsenal. This ongoing exchange of fire has created a cycle of violence where each attack prompts an even stronger reaction, making any diplomatic off-ramp increasingly difficult to find. The United States has become deeply involved in the escalating conflict, although it has not yet entered into direct combat. Washington is walking a fine line, providing robust support to its ally, Israel, while trying to prevent a full-blown regional war that would inevitably draw in American forces. In a clear show of force and commitment, the U.S. has moved significant military assets into the Middle East. Advanced THAAD missile defense systems have been deployed to help protect Israel from Iranian attacks. U.S. Navy destroyers equipped with Aegis combat systems are now patrolling the waters, ready to intercept missiles and drones, creating a layered defense for Israel. President Donald Trump has placed the world on notice, stating that he will make a final decision on direct U.S. military intervention within a 2-week period. This announcement has created a tense window for diplomacy, with European allies scrambling to find a peaceful resolution before American firepower is unleashed. In the meantime, the U.S. military is not standing idle. American pilots have already assisted in shooting down some of the Iranian drones launched at Israel. Furthermore, the Pentagon has taken precautionary measures, relocating aircraft from exposed bases in Qatar and pre-positioning vital medical supplies, signaling that it is preparing for the worst-case scenario of a direct military engagement. The American diplomatic stance remains firm and uncompromising. The White House has insisted that any potential deal to de-escalate the crisis must include a complete and permanent ban on all uranium enrichment by Iran. This has long been a major sticking point in negotiations. Prior to the recent outbreak of direct fighting, U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff had been engaged in quiet, back-channel talks with Iranian officials. However, these discussions collapsed the moment Israeli bombs began to fall on Iranian soil. Iran officially withdrew from these talks, stating that it would not negotiate while under direct military attack, effectively closing a crucial door for peaceful dialogue. In a move that underscores the seriousness of the situation, the United States has also begun to evacuate non-essential personnel and their families from its embassy in Israel. This step is a clear indicator that the U.S. government fears the conflict could expand unpredictably, potentially endangering American citizens in the region. The combination of powerful military posturing, a ticking clock on a presidential decision, rigid diplomatic demands, and the evacuation of personnel paints a picture of a superpower preparing for a major war. The world now watches and waits to see if diplomacy can prevail, or if the U.S. will be drawn directly into the fight. The escalating war between Israel and Iran is having a devastating impact on ordinary people. Civilians in both nations are now living under the constant threat of missile attacks and airstrikes, their daily lives shattered by fear and uncertainty. In Israel, the relentless barrage of Iranian missiles has led to casualties and widespread panic. The Soroka Medical Center in the city of Beersheva, a place of healing, was severely damaged by a direct missile hit, injuring dozens of patients and staff. To date, at least 24 Israelis have been killed in the attacks, and over 2,300 have been hospitalized with injuries or for shock, a grim testament to the human toll of this conflict. On the other side, the people of Iran are facing a different kind of horror. The Israeli airstrikes have been relentless and deadly. According to reports from the region, these strikes have killed at least 240 Iranians. While some of these casualties were senior military leaders and nuclear scientists, many were civilians who were simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. Al Jazeera has reported that Israeli bombs have hit apartment blocks, a hospital, and even the state television building. For ordinary Iranians, the war has brought not only the fear of sudden death from the sky, but also severe shortages of essential goods and a near-total internet blackout, isolating them from the outside world. The conflict's impact extends far beyond the immediate casualties. The entire region is experiencing massive disruption. Israel has completely closed its airspace, leaving thousands of international tourists stranded and cutting off a vital economic artery. Major global airlines have suspended all flights to both Israel and Iran, further isolating the two countries. In Iran, residents of Tehran are reportedly evacuating the city in large numbers, fearing a more intense bombing campaign to come. This mass movement of people is creating a humanitarian challenge as resources become strained and families are displaced from their homes with no clear idea of when or if they will be able to return safely. In addition to the physical destruction, a war is being waged in the digital realm. Iran is experiencing a severe internet blackout, which international observers believe is the result of massive cyber attacks designed to cripple its communications and infrastructure. This digital isolation makes it incredibly difficult for people inside Iran to communicate with each other or to share information about what is happening with the outside world. This information vacuum not only creates panic and spreads misinformation, but also prevents journalists and human rights organizations from accurately documenting the full extent of the civilian suffering, leaving many of the conflict's victims voiceless and unseen. The direct military conflict between Israel and Iran carries profound implications for the entire world, extending far beyond the borders of the Middle East. The most immediate global risk centers on the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow waterway through which a massive portion of the world's energy supply travels. Iran has explicitly threatened to disrupt shipping and potentially mine the strait if it is attacked by the United States. Such an action would immediately trigger a global energy crisis, as about 1/4 of the world's oil and 1/5 of its liquefied natural gas pass through this choke point. The U.S. Navy is actively preparing for this scenario, but any disruption would cause oil prices to skyrocket and could tip the global economy into a recession. International diplomatic efforts are in a desperate race against time. European leaders from the United Kingdom, France, and Germany are preparing to meet with Iranian representatives in Geneva. Their goal is to broker a ceasefire and find a diplomatic solution within the 2-week window set by the U.S. before a potential military intervention. Meanwhile, other world powers are taking sides. China and Russia have both condemned Israel's actions and called for an immediate de-escalation, offering to mediate the crisis. A spokesman for the Kremlin warned that any attempt at regime change in Iran would be, quote, unimaginable, and would only serve to fuel extremism across the region, adding another layer of geopolitical tension to the conflict. The potential for this conflict to widen is extremely high. Even though Iran's regional allies like Hezbollah in Lebanon have been weakened in recent years, they could still be called upon to open new fronts against Israel. Iran-backed militias in Iraq have already issued threats, warning that they will target U.S. bases and commercial shipping in the region if America enters the war directly. This creates the nightmare scenario of a multi-front war that could engulf Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and the vital shipping lanes of the Persian Gulf. Such an expansion would create a humanitarian catastrophe on an immense scale and would almost certainly lead to a direct and prolonged confrontation between the United States and Iran. Looking ahead, the future is dangerously uncertain. One path leads to a fragile, negotiated peace, likely involving painful concessions from all sides and intense international oversight. The other path leads to a wider war with devastating consequences. If diplomacy fails and the U.S. decides to intervene militarily, the conflict could spiral out of control, leading to countless deaths, regional destabilization, and a global economic shock. The world holds its breath, hoping that reason will prevail over the drumbeat of war. The decisions made in the coming days by leaders in Tehran, Jerusalem, and Washington will shape the future of the Middle East and the world for years to come.